So, private internet access. They have been bought by Cape Technologies. That's what this video is about. I've used private internet access for 4+ years, and they have been an affiliate of this program. It would have been my recommended VPN provider. However, with this latest news, I've looked into it, and it spells nothing but bad stuff here in the future. So I'm dropping them as an affiliate of the channel and moving on to another VPN provider. I wanted to make this PSA just to say that if you are a private internet access user, there hasn't been a hack or a breach. You don't have like a NordVPN situation where they got hacked and didn't tell anybody about it. You have just a bad company that has been acquiring a lot of VPN providers has now acquired private internet access as well, which typically means there'll probably be a consolidation of data centers and servers among all these VPN providers. They have ZenMate VPN, CyberGhost VPN, and now private internet access VPNs lumped into there, which pretty much ruins it for me. So I'm no longer recommending it. If you are a private internet access user, I wouldn't recommend re-upping. So that's what I'm doing. I do have like a couple months left in my year that I've purchased private internet access, and I'm gonna probably just say forget it and go ahead and move on to a different one just because I don't trust the company that much. So with that, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to show you some a different VPN that I'm trying out right now that is going to probably be the new recommendation for the channel. But I also want to give you choice. As I always say, choice is a good thing. So I want to give you 2 other VPN recommendations as well. All right, so before we start out, I just want to go ahead and let you know, if you do need real-time assistance or tech support, let me know in live chat. I do stream typically every single week. I'm trying to stream at least a couple times a week over on Twitch, where it's a little easier to chat back and forth as YouTube gets to be a little bit much as far as that. So if you want to talk to me directly, by all means, head over to my Twitch channel, follow me, look for when I do it. I usually stream between 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and up to about 5 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on a couple days a week. So look for me over there. And with that said, let's jump into this and tell you what my new VPN recommendation is. So it depends on what you're doing, but for me personally, when I look at a VPN, I'm looking for speed and privacy and other things. Privacy and security, I think, is what most people think about with VPNs. And for me, I look at it more from a different perspective. I look at it as just a secondary connection point. I'm just securing between me and the VPN provider, and I just want as much speed as possible. And the best speed I can find from my testing has been ExpressVPN. So that's the one I'm going to. That's the one I'm going to recommend. This is a couple things with this. First, it's no log. It's been proven, of course. I want to make sure that they've had servers seized, and in court it was proven that there was no logs on the servers. So ExpressVPN is kind of a special case, as not only has it been proven, but as an oddball, almost everything runs from RAM in their servers, which means as soon as those servers were turned off, there was nothing on them, which is pretty cool. So I think there's 1 or 2 other VPN providers out there that actually do this, which is pretty cool, but it just shows that there's absolutely no logs, and I like this setup, and that's one reason why I really love ExpressVPN in this realm. So they're proven, no log, they're really fast, and then probably a really good thing is the encryption and the number of servers. They have over, I think, 3,000 servers across the globe, so very good. Now, I do want to touch on the cons real fast. When it comes to ExpressVPN, the cons are, in China, I've gotten conflicting reports. Anytime I recommend something, I do my due diligence and see what are the bad things. It says it works in China. Everything across all the advertisements and things that you would read says it works in China. However, a lot of reviews I'm seeing where they would say it was just a huge headache. It was disconnecting every 5 to 15 minutes. And this review isn't just one, it's many that I've seen over the course of my review. So China people probably shouldn't go ahead and get ExpressVPN. Number two, it does tote a lot of streaming. Now, most people do streaming through a VPN to get around region locks. And I noticed a lot of the reviews were complaining about Netflix streaming in particular not working all that well through ExpressVPN, saying it didn't get around the region locks. So I thought that was kind of interesting, knowing that is a thing. So I wanted to do those two things just because if you fit into either one of these categories, ExpressVPN probably isn't right for you. So I wanted to clarify that. Now, as far as my alternatives, let's say you don't want to go with ExpressVPN and you're more concerned with privacy and security, where I'm less concerned with that. I would say Molvad VPN and Proton VPN both have very good high marks and something as an alternative to ExpressVPN. Although they do run a little bit slower, they have less servers, but I think if you're really concerned with privacy, I'd say they have a little bit higher marks than ExpressVPN just because they're not as big. And I think Molvad, don't quote me on this, I do believe you can actually hide your username and you don't even have to turn any of that over, and you can purchase a subscription with cryptocurrency, which can be good for anonymity purposes. So that's a proponent for those things. If you're really tinfoil hatting it, you might check them out. However, I was more concerned with speed and availability, so that's why ExpressVPN kind of won out over those two. Now, other things that I did like about ExpressVPN is you can use Tor with it. If you are concerned with security and privacy, you got to make sure you establish the VPN and then jump on the Tor network, because if you think you're browsing securely and anonymously just with a VPN, well, yeah, you're silly. That's not a thing. You really should be using Tor on top of a VPN for really a more solid anonymity presence, among other things. But I would say this is a good foundation using both those services coupled together. Another thing, you need to check for DNS leaks. ExpressVPN actually has an open source project on GitHub, which I thought that was cool that they open sourced the actual tools they do to test the DNS leaks, which is great. So check that out. If you establish a VPN, even if you don't use ExpressVPN, I believe you can use these tools and check to see if you have any DNS leaks, which is great. Other things, when you connect via a VPN client, I always use OpenVPN. It's an open source project, and if your VPN provider provides OVPN files, which is the configuration files you need to connect to your VPN provider, you need to probably be using OpenVPN. I just don't believe in utilizing proprietary clients, especially with VPNs, because all kinds of shenanigans can go on. So these are all the things I look for in a VPN. If they provide OVPN files, so I can use my own client to establish the VPN. 2, if they allow Tor, I think that's extremely important. 3, making sure there's no logs, or at the very least, look at cases where the government has actually seized the servers of the VPN provider, because this tells you, yes, it's been proven. So that's one thing I always look at. If there's no examples of this in my ideas, it doesn't matter if that says it's no logged or not, because it hasn't been proven. So that's why I always look for those 3 things, and that's why I've transitioned to this. I really am looking forward to doing more testing in this regard. I am going to go ahead and jump to desktop and do a download and connect using OVPN files on ExpressVPN, and I'll link to that down below as well. So to set up a VPN, almost any VPN dashboard kind of looks like this. You have your download the native client right here, and then you'd enter in this key and it would just work. Stupid simple on ExpressVPN, but almost all VPNs have this. But as I just said, don't use the easy method. Don't use the client they give you, because I think you personally should be establishing the VPN yourself. So to do that on ExpressVPN, we're just going to go see all devices. From here, go down to manual config right here under Xbox. Under manual configuration, there's a couple things to note. You'll see the username and password. We need to copy both of these down. We'll create a separate username and password file that we'll be utilizing. So I'm going to copy these down and we'll put them into a file shortly. Now below that username and password, which is up here, we get to select our configuration files. So I'm in the Americas and I want to select a server in here. Now I've already gotten Dallas, but let's say I want to do a backup server. We'll go ahead and grab a second server in Dallas. So it downloaded onto my desktop, and now I could go ahead and establish the VPN right here on this desktop, and I'll go ahead and show it. But I also kind of want to show you kind of a future video that I have that I'm making, and it's called a VPN box. So let's go ahead and remote into it. I call it Sick VPN. And we're presented with our little message of the day. I kind of customized a little bit. Looks like I botched the total size on my actual hard drives. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over to etc open VPN, and we'll do a listing. So you'll notice a secrets file with a 600 mod on it. Read and write for root access only, which is great. We'll go ahead and go nano user pass. And from here, you would type in your username that was copied from the first one and your password right here. And then you just write this out with Control O, Control X, and it's done. So with that done, we would actually have a secondary file. We would chmod 600 user pass. The dot hides it. And then the 600 basically says only root has access to it. So it's a good way to store your username and password in there. I have my secrets already on there, which is the same thing as user pass, but I'm not going to open that up because that is my actual username and password. So once we've established that, we can go ahead and check out our OVPN file. Now we downloaded this. I can transfer it a bunch of different ways. Let's go ahead and transfer it from our local host to our VPN box. All right, with that done, we'll remote back into our box. From our box, we'll see that new file, and we'll go ahead and move that over. So let's go sudo move. And actually, to make this easier, since pretty much everything we're doing is going to be at a root level, we'll just go ahead and do sudo su to switch over to root. And then we're going to just move my express2 to dallas2.ovpn. And we're going to need to put this in our OVPN or OpenVPN directory, which is etc OpenVPN. So we'll go over to that directory. From this directory, you'll see the two OpenVPN files. Express.openvpn, I think, is using the original Dallas server, but I wanted to show you a fresh OpenVPN file that hasn't been touched yet. So let's go into Dallas 2, and we'll go ahead and come down into auth and pass. So you remember how we said we have that secrets file? Well, it's just .secrets, and write that out. So pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and check that syntax. You'll see my other file here, and you'll see that .secrets, because my actual username and pass is in that .secrets file, which is pretty darn awesome. That way you don't have to constantly be typing it in. And then it's just simply establishing the VPN connection. Now I'm going to do a quick check and ping Google. And we are pinging Google just fine. So that tells me I made a service out of this, but I'm not going to do the service in this video just because it'll drone on too long. So let's stop our ExpressVPN service. And with this service stopped, this should disconnect the VPN, and I'm going to go ahead and ping Google. I set up this as a kill box, meaning if the VPN is not established, it will not allow any traffic out, which makes it kind of cool. So let's go ahead and connect our VPN. We'll just do open VPN, and we'll connect through Dallas 2, which we just did. And there we go. The sequence is completed. We could browse around and ping Google now. Now, the one thing is, this is going to continue to run. If I wanted to do it, I need to do an ampersand, so it'll go ahead, do it, and then kick me back to like a prompt that I could actually use. So let's see here. So from here, ping www.google, and you'll see I now can ping it, and I've established my actual IP that's not outside. So this is kind of a cool way to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and kill all OpenVPN. So with that killed, I know that this is offline right now, and I actually, let's go ahead and bring it back up with just a start ExpressVPN. And that should bring us back online and establish that VPN. As soon as it is established, it then allows traffic through. But this ensures all traffic is going through that VPN at all times. That's why I like setting up a VPN box like this. I'll do a separate video on how to actually do a full VPN box with the actual VPN service, and then also doing modifying UFW, which is probably the most user-friendly way of doing it. I can also do it in IP tables, but UFW is probably the easiest thing for people to follow. So I'll do it in that and make it a VPN-only box, meaning that box, whatever's on it, I know is going to be pushed through a VPN at all times, because all the other routing disallows anything not going out. And if you're curious, just as a quick little tidbit, this is kind of my rules I have set up. So if any professionals out there want to go ahead and jump ahead and just like, hey, just show me the rules. These are the rules for the UFW. 69.0 is actually my local area network. Anywhere on ton 0 is basically the VPN tunnel, meaning you can actually go out through the VPN tunnel. And then 1195 UDP is actually used to establish the VPN tunnel. So those three things are always allowed. Everything else is completely denied on an outbound on this box. That's how you get that block. It'll block DNS. It'll block everything. Everything's going to be going through that VPN tunnel, and this ensures it. There's other settings in here like blocking. Oh man, I could just go on for days on how to secure a server. Definitely check out my video, Secure a Server. I'll link it up in the title card, because the securing a server is a whole different thing on top of this. Security is so badly misunderstood a lot of times. I feel like people get like one or two pieces of the puzzle and go, I'm secure. No, you're not. So anyways, the best way is to do this on a VPN box if you're going to use a VPN. So this was establishing a VPN using open source tools and ExpressVPN. You can easily use this with pretty much any other VPN provider as long as they give you the OVPN files. If they don't give you OVPN files, do not use them. They're crap. It's a telltale sign of a crap VPN. So all of them pretty much do. I mean, anybody that's anybody gives them. Even the ones I said not to use in this video, like private internet access and those are ones, they've always given me the OVPN files. So that says a lot if your VPN doesn't. That means you're on a way worse VPN than anything I talked about in this video. But I've rambled on. Let's get out of here. But I wanted to showcase this because you should not be using VPN clients, as I really don't like a lot of this stuff, and I see too much of the flashy, hey, there's a padlock on this app and you press it after spending $100 for a year of this VPN service, and it just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And I think that's just stupid. I think people are easily fooled and easily have this sense of security with VPN, and I wanted to spell that 100%. Use what you think and what you like. Now, I mentioned a blacklist on my community post. Obviously, NordVPN I would never recommend because they were hacked, didn't tell anybody for 18 months, and only from an independent party review that somehow got leaked that this hack actually happened did they ever come clean about it. So horrible company, no interest in the end user. Not my thing. Bundled services also, if they offer like antivirus and VPN, like Avast, Kaspersky, those types of things, don't use bundled services. This is just not good for a whole variety of reasons. Most of these bundled services are in like the Five Eyes or at least the 14 Eyes countries, which is all about surveillance. So I don't recommend most of the bundled services, especially Avast and Kaspersky. So on top of that, there's other ones like TunnelBear and many other ones that have had past problems. I know Linus Tech Tips used to recommend TunnelBear, but they had an acquisition. I think Symantec actually acquired them and kind of destroyed that partnership, and Linus had to say, no longer do we recommend TunnelBear. So there you go. That's VPNs in a nutshell. Today, I'm recommending ExpressVPN. Tomorrow, who the hell knows? Something will probably happen. I'm a little bit disappointed and jaded because my favorite provider sold out. And that's where we're at. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. As always, thank you to all my patrons. Without you, I couldn't make videos like this one. And I'll see you in the next one.